What's up, universe? It's Julie here, and in our last video you saw that we took our toddler to my hometown in Philadelphia. Lincoln is about 2.5 years old, so it was kind of cool to relive my childhood through his eyes and kind of experience my hometown, things around there with fresh eyes. So if you haven't watched it yet, I'll leave it for you right here. Go check it out. It's a fun watch. I'll also leave the link for you down in the description. And this is kind of like a part 2 because then from there, we made our way to New York City. As you might know, we used to live there a long time ago when we were young and single, and also in our first year of marriage, we lived right across the river in Edgewater, New Jersey. But I still worked in New York, so New York has a soft spot in my heart. We started out by heading towards Jersey and then slowly making our way up to New York. So we went to my friend Shauna's house. She made us this lovely salmon lunch. Not a lot of people cook for me, so I even posted it on my Instagram because I was so happy about it. Most of the time, we were reined in surprisingly with this crazy thunderstorm, but it was still good that Lincoln got to experience what it was like to have brothers, and Joe got to experience what it would be like to have 3 boys. Crazy. But then the next day, the sun came out, so we spent a lot of time walking around outdoors and playing with the water table. Joe even watched the boys while Shauna and I got to go thrifting. This Goodwill was the smallest Goodwill I've ever seen, and it was so ridiculously expensive, but I was able to pick out this new with tag basket originally from Home Goods. And if I wasn't traveling, I would totally keep it for myself, but I bought it for my mom. Then I made a beeline to this beautiful vintage purse, and it had this really unique handle. And when you open it, this little mirror swivels out. I mean, we both thought that was so unique. And I think that kind of got Shauna excited because then she was able to find a purse for herself, which was nice. It was like this watercolor pattern to it. Later that day, we headed over to my sister's place. And I mentioned this in my last vlog, but you have to take breaks when you're traveling with your young kid and just give them moments of being normal. He played a little bit with his cousin, and now I know they are officially frenemies. I know that they secretly like each other, but they were also getting on each other's nerves. It was kind of cute. And then we went to an Indian buffet. Oh, I'm dreaming about it right now. And then just relax at home. And afterwards, we made our way out to dinner again. We went to the specific Korean seafood restaurant where they just bring out like a bajillion different courses of seafood themed items. North Jersey especially has bomb Korean food. It was everything that I wanted and dreamed of. It was great for Lincoln to just unwind and do normal things before we headed out to New York the next day. We did have plans to meet up with our friends who live there, as well as my sister's family. We all drove separately. Joe decided to drop me and Lincoln off first at this place called The Vessel because we decided that we're gonna stay there overnight. So he needed to drop off our luggage at a hotel and then go park the van and stuff. So Lincoln and I were just wandering around by ourselves for a little bit. The Vessel is this amazing structure that is like an Instagrammer's dream. And remember in our last video, I said we forgot to bring our stroller with us. But after we met up with my friend Helen in our last video, she decided to give us a sit and stand stroller. You know, one of those strollers that you use when you have 2 kids? I was like, wow, this is like totally God's intention because we would never normally forget our stroller, but we did. So we were able to bring this new stroller back. I mean, it just worked out. Lincoln and I just strolled around a bit, but he didn't want to get out of that stroller. So we ended up walking towards the High Line and he got to see the cars and chill out for a little bit. Eventually, we met up with my friends, and it took him a while to warm up to them. But luckily, they're experts in wrangling and dealing with young boys. They have nephews, so they knew exactly how to play with him and get his attention. They even got these amazing pictures of him. Eventually, he was able to go to his happy place when I busted out his cars and just had him play with them along the ledge right in front of the vessel. And he was having the time of his life. But when my sister's family came, we decided to go over to Hudson Yards, which is like kind of this indoor mall right next door. And then we went to this area downstairs called Little Spain. And there's basically all these individual food stalls that have Spanish themed foods and drinks. We got a couple of things, some churros dipped in chocolate and some sangria. And that's when Joe was finally able to meet up with us. Then we went back to the Vessel to check it out and walk around in it. So for the Vessel, you have to get tickets in advance. They're free, but you still have to sign up for a certain time slot. And I think that prevents the crazy pandemonium of too many people going up there at once. Luckily, Grace thought ahead and just snagged tickets for us without even asking, which I thought was a great move because that's something that I would have normally not gone up, because from the outside, it doesn't look like much that like, oh, is it really that great? What's so special about going up this like staircase? But once you're inside, it is just so breathtaking. You're in awe. You feel like you're in a spaceship in another world. And it's funny because it even has a nickname. What is this building called again?
The vessel.
And it looks like a shawarma. There are seriously a bajillion photo ops in there. Even our friends, Grace and Jessica, kept saying that it's really weird, but once you take pictures inside the vessel, all of your photos when you go back home look like renderings or CGI or something. Like they look fake. It's like almost like they're illustrated. And I had no idea what they were talking about until after I came home and looked at my pictures, and I was like, oh my gosh, they're totally right. I don't know how to describe it. It's just like extra vibrant, almost like it's drawn. I don't know, it was so cool. This is definitely a first time experience for me. Whoa, that's so cool. Rooftop pool. That's living the life right there, isn't it? Oh yeah, you gotta do the Insta. Isn't this such a cool experience, Joe? Of all the times we've come to New York.
Yep, it's brand new.
Uh-huh.
Look at him.
Brand new, and get to experience it with him. Grace and Jessica made us run all the way across the way to come to the other side just so they could take that picture, to which we say anything for the gram.
Yep.
See, they're there. Right there. It was so hard not to spend a lot of time there, especially because Lincoln was really enjoying it too. It was perfect, breezy, cool summer day kind of weather in New York, which was unusual because prior to this, during our whole trip, it was really hot and muggy. So, I mean, it was just the breeze blowing and the sights, and it was just perfect. I mean, it was awesome, and I'd highly recommend it even if you have kids. But we eventually made it down again, and then we decided to go through the High Line again because we were gonna make our way to this place called the Camp Store. And the funny thing is that every other time I've been to the High Line, it has never been this crowded where you literally can't see anything. So it's almost like not worth going through. But this was a Saturday and it was perfect weather, so like every single person in the world was out there. But at least we made good use of our sit and stand stroller. So we get to this cool store called the Camp Store, and it really kind of does look like a camp store, but except for it's made for kids and like toys. So at first you walk in, you're like, okay, that's cute, but then we walked in through some secret entrance and they closed the door behind us saying, have fun. It's like another world. I was like, wow, this is how they do toy stores in New York. All the toys were displayed in such a cute way with some sort of theme. There's a French cafe, a kitchen, a truck with all these car toys, and they even have secret slides and a trampoline. Lincoln had a blast blowing off steam, just jumping in the trampoline over and over again, and I'm so glad he had a chance to do that because most of the time he was just sitting in the stroller being overwhelmed by all the sights and sounds of the city. Then we went to dinner at Surutontan, and this is this udon place. And I'm like, okay, of all the places you could eat in New York, why are we going to an udon place? But everyone kept telling me this is like the best udon that you'll ever have. The interior was warm and modern, and there's this bar in the front, so while you're waiting for your table, you can grab some drinks. So we decided to do that, sip on some wine and beer. And Joe decided to stay outside with Lincoln so that he could just run around and have a breather before we sat down. Then we had some appetizers of karaage, like the fried chicken and the shishito peppers and cucumbers, and all of them were just equally delicious. But then the udon came. I felt like there should have been angels singing as the bowls were set in front of us. And the bowls are so big, it was like a practical joke. And the spoons they give you feel like chef spoons, you know, like the kinds that you use to put sauce on a plate. Needless to say, I was kind of shocked, amused, and excited.
I'm really excited.
I wanted to get Joe's reaction first, and you get to see his signature head nod.
It's handmade noodles here. It's supposedly like one of the best udons anyone has ever had. Does it really live up to its hype?
Definitely.
How's the soup?
Oh, super simple.
But it was the perfect thing to eat after walking around all day, especially on a cooler summer night. I could only imagine how satisfying it would feel in the winter. We also had a matcha crepe cake and ice cream for dessert, which was really incredible. It was the perfect bite to finish off the udon. So highly recommended. The whole experience was phenomenal. Then we said our goodbyes to everyone and walked towards our hotel. So originally, Joe and I were planning to go on the subway and take Lincoln down there for the first time because we thought, oh my gosh, he'll be so into it with like the trains and everything. But the little bugger fell asleep like within 5 minutes of us strolling. So then we're like, now what? So then we're like, let's just walk all the way back to the hotel. And the funny thing is I had all these plans to even go through Times Square because I thought Lincoln would love seeing all the bright lights and the action. But the way that we were walking where we were, we just weren't passing through Times Square even though we were kind of right nearby. Our hotel was right near it. We finally made it to our hotel and Lincoln had some newfound energy.
It's 9:20 and we finally made it to our hotel room. Gosh, these two. That's our current mood. We walked, I don't know how many blocks. Lincoln fell asleep a little bit in the stroller. He skipped his nap completely today. He just nodded off for like 5 to 10 minutes earlier. Had one meltdown, which we did not record. And Daddy was a trooper, picking him up, holding him while he slept, carrying the burdens of the world. But we're tired. We're not gonna have that much time tomorrow here in the city, so we're gonna try to make the most of it. We're gonna try to start out early, and I don't know. Current situation.
It took Lincoln a while to settle down because once we set up his crib, gave him a bath, and we all took showers, all that activity was just so much, and he didn't settle down until like 11 o'clock, and we both conked out. But a funny thing is that Joe had a bout of insomnia randomly, so he was still up at like 3 in the morning or something, and I didn't know this until the next morning. But around 5, he decided to just get up and walk outside and make his way to Times Square by himself. So he captured some cool footage, which in hindsight, I'm kind of glad because at least I got to kind of see Times Square through his footage and awesome pictures. But he said it was so weird to see it kind of desolate. He's never experienced that, neither have I, where it's so desolate and there's just a few people walking around. The next morning, we woke up to breakfast at our hotel because I love eating breakfast at a hotel. For some reason, subconsciously decided not to get any carbs. It's almost like in my mind, I really wanted a New York bagel. We decided to meet up with our friends and they said that they were gonna go pick up bagels real quick. So I was like, oh my gosh, they're like, do you want one? I was like, yes! So I had second breakfast in the car. The weather was once again gorgeous that day. We just really struck gold going that weekend.
It's a beautiful day. Another one. It's breezy, it's not hot, and we're making our way towards the Brooklyn Bridge. Grace and Jess met up with us again, and I got a New York bagel.
And we've already done this bridge walk before in our pre-Lincoln days, so if you want to see a hint of our vlog from the past about that, you can check it right here. We'll leave it for you.
I always get so inspired every time I'm in the city because just of the simple architecture, the fashion, the sights.
I was hoping to get Lincoln a New York taxi cab, little toy, because I thought it'd be a great souvenir since he's so into cars. And luckily, right at the base of the bridge, we're able to get it. But here's a tip. As you go further into the bridge, there's the same vendor selling the same things for cheaper, like $1 cheaper. So I was like, oh well. Our friends also told us about the mango ladies who happened to be there, because the last time we've been there, and I think other times we've been there, it's been cooler or colder. So the mango ladies aren't out there. I've never experienced that. So we were able to grab some bags of mangoes. Lincoln was able to experience it. A refreshing treat to have while you're walking down the bridge. And of course, the bridge provides amazing photo ops. And I just ended up being like everyone's Instagram boyfriend, forcing them to take photos, like making them do little model shoots. The bridge was so crowded that Lincoln couldn't really stretch his legs and walk because he'd be trampled on. But as we got towards the middle, it cleared up a bit and he was feeling better, so he was able to get up and romp around. We made it across the other side of the bridge and the vibe just instantly changes.
We made it into Brooklyn. We're taking some pictures in the middle of the street with the bridge behind us. I guess a lot of people do that here. And Lincoln is sleeping. Look how he's sleeping. I had the sense this time to bring out his pillow and he just knocked out instantly. I mean, that's a weird way to sleep, but whatever works.
I was really thankful that Lincoln was able to fall asleep in his stroller this time, because the day before he couldn't. He was just uncomfortable. There was too much noise, and like the sound of the sirens and everything would just jolt him awake. But I think this time I was more prepared because I brought his pillow. So we took that opportunity to take some photos by ourselves, which I'm really thankful for. We started walking around the Dumbo area, which is like down under the Manhattan Bridge overpass, something like that. And it's really nice because the vibe is so chill and serene. It's almost like you go there purposely, so if you want to relax or escape from the city. The sad part is that I had lived in the city for several years and I never ventured into Brooklyn. I think that's so crazy. I don't know why I didn't, and it's so easy too. And this is where we took some more iconic photos of the city skyline with the bridge. I seriously feel like I want to frame some of these pictures. I say that all the time, but we never do.
I feel like all we're doing is stuff that we've never done while we were in New York.
Then for lunch, we decided to check out this place called Time Out Market, and has a bunch of food stalls, all different things from like pasta, Japanese ramen, and Southern food. And I decided to go for this place called Jacob's Pickles. And obviously they're focusing on their pickles, but they also highlight this fried chicken sandwich on a biscuit. At first I thought, oh, that seems too heavy, but I was thoroughly surprised at how light the biscuits were. They were like feathers. It was so like airy. I don't know how to describe it. The chicken was perfectly crispy. It was drenched in some sort of honey sauce, and the pickles, it's not too sharp, and it just really adds that nice freshness to the sandwich. I highly recommend it, as well as their side of mac and cheese. I just felt bad because at some point Joe developed a migraine and it just kept going because he didn't sleep at all, I think, maybe like a couple hours at most because of his Times Square excursion.
How's your crispy rice? It's good? He's enjoying life. He's fine.
We walked around a little more and everyone went nuts taking all these amazing pictures, especially with the backdrop. Then it was time to call a lift and head back over the bridge because it was just too much of a walk and it would take too long. And Joe and I had to get back home to Pennsylvania to my parents' house to pack up. We were going to leave the next morning. So we stopped by quickly to get some bubble tea at Vivi. We said goodbye to our friends, and I'm so thankful for them for being the most excellent tour guides. We got to experience things that we normally would never or have never experienced in all the years of living there. We made it home in time for dinner. My parents just whipped up this feast, this Korean barbecue feast with all the garden fresh veggies. But the funny thing is that Joe only comes to our place normally during the winter, for the holidays. So this is the first time he was there during the summer where he could experience the bounty. But this is all I know growing up. It was a very memorable feast. The next morning, we headed to the airport. We said our goodbye to the grandparents, and it was kind of sad seeing them hugging and saying their goodbyes. We don't get to see them that often. And this time, both boys conked out on the plane, even though it was such a short ride. That just proves how much fun we had this entire trip. Let me know what you like to do in New York City, or how your experience was as a visitor coming with a young child or a toddler, and what did you do? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you enjoyed watching this video, remember to push like and subscribe to our channel so that you can see more videos like this one. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.